Welcome to Nightfall. Tune in our podcast every week and hear about different opinions on gaming or esports and anything that can branch out of it. From events to people, you name it. We'll have different special guests to stop by here and there with our three hosts. Watch, listen, and enjoy. Hello and welcome to Nightfall Podcast. My name's Gen and I'm here joined by Dash and Dadum. Today we've got an interesting topic about the newest agent in VALORANT. We have Fade. So 2 weeks has passed, as you've said, and Fade has entered the pro matches as well. And as we speak, VCT is ongoing, and some people, some teams are already making use of Fade. What do you guys think about Fade? Do you think this agent's gonna be a game changer at this point, or not yet? What about you, Dadum?
I mean, I don't know if I don't want to call her game changer anytime soon, because for me, Fade is like a halfway point between utility and information, but sort of like half assing on both aspects. Like, for example, if you compare Fade's ult to something like a Breach ulti, because they're so similar, right? The DK only lasts like a millisecond, like so fast. It wears off so quickly, and you can still fight people because you can still see stuff and you're not concussed or anything. And then if you compare something like her info gathering ability, the Hunt, compared to something like the Recon Bolt, it's not as powerful. I mean, the range on it as well is like tiny. So I don't know. I'm honestly not sold on the Fade thing, but that's just me.
What about you, Dash?
I am sold on the Fade thing. Honestly, I'm really sold about Fade. Whenever I think about new agents, or even in other games, new champions, new heroes, I think of them as themselves. I don't compare them to anyone in the game. So with how she looks like an agent who forces other people to do things. She forces other people to walk this way. She forces the people to hit her Hunt. She forces the people, like, even hitting her C's. That's why I think she's good, because she's forcing other people to react to what she does, and she does it on a safe manner. For example, the only thing that you need for her is to get her lineups right. She basically plays like a CC agent that's pretty much like a Breach, and also, quote-unquote, a small info agent at that point, but more on the fact that she can force other people from angles. And that's what I like about her, because she does a lot of things at once with almost all of her skills.
Yes, definitely. The Fade, her skill set, definitely depends on the amount of how you can combo it with other agents. We used to have just Sage. Sage was our go-to slow impact as an attacker, but now you've got someone like Fade. Fade is the new Initiator, and her ability Seize is able to root her opponents into one spot. Then you can combo it with a paint shell, with a fragment grenade, any sort of Molotov as well. They will stay stuck in the middle of that and they will fall. And then come in next up with her Prowler. Her Prowler acts kind of like a boombot. We saw it in the VCT MYSG. So they paired the boombot into the hookah side and bind, as well as the Prowler, moving it little by little. It's like a little boombot that's kind of like a trailblazer midway sort of skill ability, right? And then her basic skill ability, which is kind of like a recon bolt. People have been comparing it like a recon bolt because that's how the AoE works every single time. Very easy to break before it even pops up, but once it pops up, most of the agents do hide away, and that is the power of initiators, initiating for the team. Most initiators, they don't really play against their own kit. They always depend on someone else to pass through while they're using up their abilities. So, speaking of, what do you guys think about Fade as an initiator? Because some might say, you could even say that kind of a sentinel role-ish there with the way you throw the C's. What about you, Dash?
Something as an initiator, I think she's pretty good. Imagine just having one of the things that I like about agents that are released after like 10 more agents. Like, for example, this agent has been released. She's like our 19th agent, right? So there's a lot of changes. Everything should be, at this point, should be over. There's a lot of second effects on these skills. And that's one of the things that I like about her is that her recon from her hunt does give lingering trails, which is pretty good. Honestly, you will know that someone is there if the trail is going to be seen, even if they do not move. It would be hard to find really great lineups for her, but at some point we will. Like, maybe average Jonas has a lot already right now that we can see for the lineups for her, which would be really good. I saw a lot of great cheese strats for her hunt, and it's pretty good for an initiator. And it's like, if you have a trailblazer, and a safer one just yet is their prowler, which is something that I like too. And I don't know, man. I don't know. This is just so good. Her kit is just so good, and she has a lot of ways to muffle your ears. Like, she's screaming on your ears every time that you hit a seize or her Nightfall.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Dash. I agree that she is a good agent, but is she going to be game changing? Is she going to be picked in every single map, in every single situation, unless it's something like a split and a Sova combo or that type of thing? That's where I'm not convinced, because see, here's where things get a little bit complicated, is when you ask the question, what is Fade as an initiator? Because for me, initiators are sort of like divided into two. Like, for one, you got info,
yeah.
and for another, you've got like, I don't know, how would you call this? Angle clearing, aka breach, and
Flashes.
I guess you could call, you could call Sky that as well. And then you got KO with a sprinkling of info, and then utility disable. So it's basically like 75% of the first kind, and then 25% of the second kind, right? Yeah. So I think what makes KO unique, though, is he can silence people, right? Now, what makes Fade unique is that she's like 50-50 of those kinds, but she introduces a new concept that's like the deafen, right? So it feels to me like they're introducing so much with a singular agent that
exactly
like she's got everything, but everything is just a sprinkling of what everyone does apart from KO's silence. And I don't know, it feels underwhelming for me, for especially, for example, Hunt, right? If you compare a Hunt to something like the Guiding Light or the Recon Bolt, Hunt is the ability with the shortest range out of all of those, right? And it's limited too, because it's like a Recon Bolt that only procs once she drops it, right? Because it sees everything in its line of sight, and its range is so short. Like, it doesn't even follow the entire trajectory. So I'm not really convinced.
Okay, I can counter your argument there. Okay. What's great about the Hunt is that it has height. Imagine a Recon Bolt, it sticks to the ground, right? And Hunt does have height. It has great height. So imagine a lot of things
what do
that
you
you can do.
Wait, 1 sec. Sorry, let me cut you off. What do you mean height? That's just a word.
It's height. It has height. Whenever it actually pops up, it doesn't just stick to the ground. It goes up.
Okay.
Right?
Okay,
that's the one thing that's good about it, because it has a big radius, and whoever is in that radius when it goes up, imagine putting it on a roof or something. It could catch everyone off guard without anyone seeing where the trail is. That's what's strong about it. Because imagine on Breeze, remember Switch? It has a roof on top of it, on A site, on pyramids. If you put the Hunt there, everybody on left pyramid would be seen.
Oh, but have you ever? Can you actually do that though?
It has a lineup. It has a lineup.
Okay.
Oh,
Average Jonas actually has it already.
you had it already.
Yeah. And that's something that I'm really scared of, is that if everybody, it's like Sova. She's like Sova. The longer the game goes, the stronger she gets, because people learn her more. Because people get a lot more lineups, and that's pretty much what I'm just scared of, because she might be OP and be nerfed as what Sova is right now, with the Aldron down to 7 seconds. But at least now she's going low-key, like how Dadum doesn't really feel she's underwhelming. And I like that, because at least I could use her more.
yeah. But I feel like you could say the same statement about most of her initiators, right? Because, for example, KO has been Ever since KO's been released, he hasn't really been saying a lot of play, especially in Pro. But
Yeah.
now it's sort of becoming a trend, especially in like Ascent and Breeze. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
She's
about
pretty
Fade.
much, all I can say is she's pretty much as complicated as, like, 75% of how complicated Asha was when she was released. Because you need a lot of lineups and you need a lot of communication before you actually put everything to good use with her kit. Because even I can't really find a great way of using her C's, her Q, the gravity well. If you ask me, it's a gravity well. There's not a lot of ways to use it unless you have a good lineup and you can predict where most of the agents are holding their angles.
Yes, that is true. Speaking of Astra and Sova, Astra, we saw her in the limelight at least until she got finally nerfed to the ground, and now we're seeing other controllers being put up out there. But I like what Valorant, what Riot is trying to do here. The recent nerf with Sova, lowering down the duration of the aljo, making it a little bit faster to react to the recon ball. Those are all, I believe, balance updates. They're not nerfs to Sova. Sova is still Sova. You got the aljo and everything like that. It's a balance update so Fade can shine a little bit more, because if Sova stayed the same, Fade would be always overshadowed by him as an initiator, which gives information, right? So
she would be exactly like her name. She would fade to nothingness or something. Yeah.
That is true. But you know, expectations when it comes to Pugs versus Pros. Pugs I think will be a lot easier for Fade to come in, and when Pros do start using Fade, we're gonna see a lot more of those lineups. What do you think about Fade in Pro plays versus Pug plays?
I mean, I feel like Fade would. I don't know. Pro players are a different breed, man. They find they find the value out of this, out of the smallest things. Like, for example, Neon, it's been seeing a lot more as well, and I'm not complaining. I like that they're very, very creative with these underutilized agents. But when it comes to Fade, I could imagine it. I could imagine it happening, but I can't see Fade being a lone initiator. I don't think it's going to be enough unless unless a new map gets released, or perhaps maps gets changed into a way where Fade is going to shine the most. Because honestly, I feel like Sova, despite the changes as I mentioned, is still the go-to in a lot of maps, unless you're talking about Split or something like maybe even Fracture, where the Sova's value sort of depreciates. I don't think Fade can do the same thing. I'm sorry, I'm comparing again. I know I'm comparing. But I don't think a Sova can hold the entirety of an initiator role all on herself. Like, if you have to only, for example, if you're a team that prefers to go double controller or double duelist and you only have to pick one initiator, I don't think Fade has big enough feet to fill in those shoes, so to speak.
Actually, I can counter that argument.
Okay.
I think Fade is good on places in where Sova is bad. For example, like what you said, on Split and on Fracture, she could be viable on those maps because of what I said a while ago. Her recon has height, and that is what those maps have. They have a lot of great avenues, but they also have height in where those roofs could be used for the her recon. And also, those maps also have very tight angles in where the Prowler could be used pretty effectively, and the Nightfall would be strong. So I can see it as a lone initiator on those maps. We can say that yes, KO could be better, Sky could be better, but at least she could put her role somewhere.
Yeah. At some point in Valorant, when Valorant started, it was always the meta to have two information gathering agents, and with Fade coming up, especially on maps like Haven, we used to see Sova and Cypher always in Haven back in the day, before all the other but better agents did show up. But we could see start the Fade and Sova do pair up together on maps like Haven, because Cypher was the man to go to pair up with Sova back in the day. But we do have a new agent, Sentinel Chamber, with the trademark. Despite the unfortunate nerf, that one definitely has to be a nerf.
Yeah, a nerf.
Because he was pretty
Yeah,
overpowered
definitely.
with the 2 trademarks, and you could just leave. It was like disabling what a killjoy was back in the day.
But
Yeah,
let me
but-
ask you this. Let me ask you this again. Do you think the proper nerf? I absolutely agree that Chamber is a little bit OP. But do you
Yeah.
think that the Chamber nerf is the right way to go? Like the trademark, is it the right way to go when it comes to nerfing Chamber?
Well, Riot did explain why they nerfed down the Chamber's trademark, but you know, back in the day, we used to have alarm bot that we set up somewhere in the map,
Yeah.
and Chamber's trademark is global. Killjoy was nerfed. You had to stick around. There's a reason why they nerfed her,
Yeah.
because you could just literally leave a spot open, and with Chamber having 2 trademarks, you could have left 2 spots open, especially on Icebox. You always had a trademark on both sides, and now that opens up for other agents like Cypher to make the trips happen. Anyway, that's for
Yeah,
Chamber,
but-
and
All I can say about with what Dadum said a while ago, and also the argument about the trademark, I don't think it's the right way to go for Chamber.
Yeah.
Honestly, the reason why Chamber is meta or strong is because he has a lot of ways to go for ecos. He has the Headhunter, he has the Tour de Force. So I think if they went into the right, I think you should nerf one of them. It's either the Tour de Force or you nerf the Headhunter to make him less viable rather than nerfing the trademark. Because that's the only reason why we call him a Sentinel, the trademark. Because if not, without the trademark, he's basically a duelist, right? So, so that's why I think trademark should be 2, but it should be a lot more costly. That could be the better way to go for it, and maybe tone down the Headhunter in the 2 Force because they're too good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm on the same boat with you, Dash. I think the trademark isn't necessarily the best option
Yeah.
to nerf for Chamber, because for me, what makes Chamber a little bit too much is that he can basically get away from a fight scot-free after challenging, for example, a very awkward angle. He stays there,
Yeah.
lays down the rendezvous, and then, for example, he misses the shot on the Headhunter, let's say the Tour de Force, and he can get away scot-free. And I think that's what's problematic about Chamber. Not the eco, not the free guns. It's the fact that he can get away even though he misplays, right? So I feel like the best direction to go is that make Chamber maybe a little bit more punishable if he commits a mistake, like doesn't get a kill, for example. But that's just off the top of my head, maybe not necessarily. But yeah, something like that makes him a little less punishable. I mean, maybe a little more punishable. Maybe something similar to what they changed
Jet
about
had.
Jet, right? I mean,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I think they can really go for that direction, but I'm not pretty sure. I'm not really sure what they can do to
There's a
fix
lot
that.
they could do. I mean, they
Yeah.
could do a lot of things.
Yep.
Yeah.
well,
What about you? Yeah.
well, in my opinion, I'm okay with this nerf coming into Chamber. Only leaving him with only 1 trademark. I know that's the reason why he's a Sentinel, and that's the reason why I picked Chamber, just because I want to use his trademarks and cover up the
Yeah.
areas that I don't want to look at anymore. But trademarks were pretty overpowered coming into the professional scene, so it's okay. I agree with them using it to only 1. Although I did hope that since there's only 1 trademark left, it would have been a little bit stronger, but instead they just made
Yeah.
it
Right.
cost more. So that's the sad part
Yeah.
of
yeah.
every Chamber main. But
Right.
since Riot did explain, they wanted him to be more on the shooty gun guy side, with especially with the Tour de Force being the reason of he's like the Reyna Sentinel, so to say. The frags you make is how the slow pops out, how your skill, how your abilities really take into the game. So that's that. Maybe soon we'll see Reyna with only 1 leer left because of how they removed the 2nd trademark, but
Right.
this was just an
Okay, that's already-
extra side note. And that's it for Fade. Any last words for Fade?
I don't know. I guess I mean, Dash did mention that initiators in particular have this very skewed learning curve. So I don't know, but I don't know because I've been proven wrong before, right? I mean, for the longest time, I thought KO. Why has nobody been using KO? I was thinking, is he bad? That's what I thought, and then now he's actually good, I guess.
Yeah.
But then if along comes Fade, then I absolutely can't make sense. I don't know what to think about this agent, but maybe perhaps eventually.
I have a question for you,
Yeah.
Dadum. Since you've been looking down on Fade a lot here,
Yeah.
what do you think would be the buff for Fade that would make her look appealing to you?
Just here's one simple buff off the top of my mind. Let the haunt like fall the entirety of its projectile, and then you just dictate when it can drop in. But
You do.
just
You can.
no, there's a limit. There's a limit.
Oh
right?
yeah, there's a limit
Yeah.
where it will finally. Yeah, you can't just throw it from
Yeah.
A site to C site. That's true.
I mean, you can't anyway, because she's just throwing it. It's not like she's got like a cannon that shoots out the thing, the projectile. I think that's one simple buff they could make. So just so that there's a little bit more consistency, or a little bit more power to her haunt.
I think
That's a good
Yeah.
idea because the Rico ball
Yeah.
can definitely go from A to C. Why
And
not
it's
Fade?
much farther too, because you can make it bounce twice.
But I think that makes her OP. If you
See,
think
that's-
about if you think about it in a game design perspective, Fade is just throwing it. It's just throwing a ball
Yeah.
of whatever that is. Maybe that's ink or something. And I don't know, but
It's your nightmare.
that makes her that makes her OP if you think about it, because that's the entire identity of Sova, the long range recon, and taking that off from him. I mean,
That's
if you
true.
balance
Good idea.
Fade in a way like that, that takes off the identity of Sova, which is why I think it's okay that it falls down,
But it's nowhere.
which is
no,
which
it's-
makes it limited.
I feel like it's nowhere near though. Even though, for example, think about
Mhm.
it. Think about it this way, right?
Yeah.
Think about Recon Bolt for once.
Yeah.
You get here. Sorry.
For
I don't mean-
once. Well,
I
okay.
meant to
I never
say-
thought about it. I mean,
I meant to say something else completely. Anyway, so think
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
Right? There are two variabilities when you're
Mm.
throwing out the Recon Bolt, right? You can
Yeah.
adjust the power of the draw, and you
Yeah.
can adjust the number of bounces. You can have 0, 1, or 2, right? So just in the first part of that, in the draw, if you pull it to the max, it's already so far. Like just off of that, there's so much variability you can do off of it, and so much range. Meanwhile, Fade, even though you can throw it at max of the range that she can't even do now, like the whole projectile of her throwing it with her arm, it's nowhere near as close as something like a Recon Bolt can, even without bouncing. So I don't think so. I don't think it's gonna be OP simply because of the fact that they remove the cap on the throwing. Because yeah, I just don't think so.
I think maybe it's kind of viable, so to say, because you're not throwing it like Omen Smoke. You're not throwing it like Viper's Toxic Screen. There will still
Molly,
be
right?
some sort of it's like maybe Brimstone's Molly. Brimstone's Molly goes far, but so
Yeah,
maybe adding a little length to how she throws the haunt would do a little bit more viability. It takes a skill shot anyway to make it happen.
Yeah. Interesting enough, we haven't talked a lot about her other abilities. We haven't talked about
Yeah.
Prowler, we haven't talked about Seize a lot, because that just says a lot about Fade, because most of her abilities really just comes down to how her hunt works. Because remember, the Prowler really sticks onto the trail, right? Which is why she's, I don't want to say it, but when she first came out, I thought she's like LeBlanc from League of Legends PC. Because her skill combos, in a way, right?
That's true. But Prowler,
Yeah.
I've tried Fade in the game. The Prowler is omega slow. It's
Yeah.
I feel like it's slower than the Aldrone, and it doesn't go up or down. It will only stay
Yeah.
through the ground. So it's not that easy to use as it is. So you'd really want to have it trailing a track for the
Yeah.
Prowler side. Well, the Seize is just Sage slow that
It's
isn't
like
as slow, but it's a gravity well that she throws in.
Yeah, it's like every time when an agent releases, they have an awkward skill, and this is the awkward skill that Fade has. It's the Seize, because honestly, for example, like when you play an Omen, you have the what do you call it? It's a shrouded step, right? Or his
Shrouded
teleport. You
step,
don't
yeah.
use it a lot, right? You don't use it a lot because it's one of his awkward skills. But I hope that someone finds a way to make the C's work. Yeah, I'm calling out to you, Average Jonas. Find us some, so most of those lineups
mean,
that
they
can make
already
it
are.
effective,
They
right?
already are fine.
Yeah.
Sees definitely for proceed for the pugs. It'll definitely be an awkward play because it's the opposite, right? Omen shrouded
Yeah.
step in pugs is insane. He's making plays in
It's
proceed.
insane, yeah.
It's I don't know, just wanting to go
Not
up on top of a wall or something. But when it comes to
Right.
fade, in the pugs, the C's is going to be a little bit hard to control because you'd want to
Yeah.
combo it with a paint shell. You'd want to combo it with a fragment, with a molly. But on the pro sides of things, you know, we know teams that love to use abilities, and I'm hoping they
Yeah.
start practicing in custom how they combo these
Yeah.
two abilities. But they're going to be very expensive. The moment you see them being used, that's it. That's the only way. That's the only second that you'll see them used. So they better find value out of it.
Yeah,
but
especially
if-
EU teams. They love it. But Dadum, yeah, go.
But I feel like the problem with C's is that it's sort of like all or nothing, right? And
Right.
more than that, you have to couple it up with two other abilities, for example. I mean, for example, you have to throw out something like a recon ball just to spot if they're there, right? Or something like a hunt. And then you throw out the C, so you see you see a group of like the entire team, for example,
flash
in that
dongle,
area,
yeah.
and then you throw out the C's. What then? You still need something else to get something out of the C's. Either
Yeah.
someone peeks it or someone throws in a paint shells or what have you. But that's the thing. You have to use an ability before it and after it, or use or do something after it to capitalize the most out of the C's. Which is why, yeah, I definitely agree. The C's in the pro scene has a lot of potential, but in the, like solo queue and in your ranked lobbies, I can't imagine C's being.
I love the potential with the posting. We saw it earlier in the VCT MYSG between Bleed and Paper Rex. On post plant, they were able to use the C's on the spike, and because who I think it was Pith stuck in the C's, who was trying to defuse the spike, he
Yeah.
got burnt into a
Aware.
crisp by the Brimstone's orbital
Yeah.
strike. So,
Alright.
so it's very interesting to see
Oh,
that.
that's
So
insane,
during
yeah.
post plants, you know he's gonna be on the spike. Throw
Yeah.
that C's,
True, that's true.
and then whoever that second other guy will probably do something about it.
Yeah, and remember with the C's, you get half HP'd and you can't hear anything. So
That's
you
true.
won't know what's happening. If ever there's a volley being thrown out, if there's a shock dart coming out to you, you don't know that something is coming out, which is why, yeah, that's okay. That's great. So I love
That's a
that.
good
I love
point,
seeing I love seeing this potential for this agents to go out in the pro scene, because yeah, as Dadum said, this might be like what the KO treatment back in the day, where after some time people discover it, people understand how he works, and that's what's great about initiators. You need a lot of knowledge to be able to make it work effectively. But what about Nightfall? What do you guys think about Nightfall? We haven't talked about Nightfall a lot.
It's a huge ult. It's a huge AoE, covers a whole site. But once it's been committed, you have to enter in those sites. But unlike Breach's potential, with his Rolling Thunder, you actually stun the opponents
Yeah.
in the site. But
Yeah.
when it comes to Fade, you're pretty much just decaying them for a bit and then making them deaf. I'd say Nightfall is a great way to offensively enter up a site, but
Yeah.
it's more of like a bait at this point. You make sure
Right.
everyone's deaf, and you won't be, and the enemy won't be able to hear you coming in. That's the only reason you
Yeah.
got the Nightfall. But it doesn't matter. It's just like KO's null command. You're forcing them into a gunfight. That's pretty much what's happening.
I mean, I feel
Exact-
like for Nightfall, since we're comparing it to the Rolling Thunder anyway, I feel like the main like weakness of Nightfall compared to Rolling Thunder is that you have to be creative to make the most out of it, right? I mean, for example, if you're just entering site, for example, it's a 5-man stack down in C, like 3 people from C long, 2 from garage, right? Think of it in Haven, and then you use the Nightfall from C long, for example. I mean, the really isn't gonna help much when it comes to the sound cue being removed, because well, the entire defense knows exactly where you're gonna come from anyway, right? From those 2 entrances. So maybe if it's something like in the post plant where there's 3 possible entry points in the retake, maybe perhaps then it's gonna be a lot more it's gonna be a lot more confusing But yeah, I think that's the main weakness. I wouldn't say it's a problem because it challenges sort of the power of, or rather the, as that shit, intelligence of these players. But I think I'm getting the theme now with Fate. I mean, I think that's the theme with the entirety of her kit, right? It's a challenge, which is why perhaps in the future she's gonna be powerful, more powerful than now.
I think it's what's great about the Nightfall is it's on theme. Like most of her skills, it forces someone to do something. It forces them to a gunfight, forces them to hit the hunt, forces them to hit the prowler. It's almost always like that. She challenges people to awkward situations in where, like when you use the Nightfall, it challenges them to a gunfight. And what's wrong about that challenge is that they're half HP. So even if they don't hit the headshot, it's okay. They're gonna lose. They're always are gonna be on a very awkward situation. They're half HP. They need to hit the headshot, and the psychological. I don't want to go into there, but the psychological. What do you call that?
Warfare.
The psycho. yeah. With it, the psychological warfare with it is pretty great. Because imagine someone screaming at your ear where you're going to a gunfight. Like she screams. She's screaming like that every time to your ear whenever you're trying to go to site, and they don't know that if you're gonna be pulling other skills with the Nightfall, they won't hear it. They won't hear the jet tailwinding in if they're not gonna be challenging the gunfight. So they're forcing them to make a decision, and that's usually what I think about agents that are good. When they force someone to make a decision.
Let me present a counter argument there, Dash. I mean,
you
did mention that Fade's abilities do force enemies, right, into making an awkward decision, right? But I would argue that in this case, in Nightfall, it also forces you and your team to challenge these angles. I mean, of course, the advantage being that they're decayed and then they're deafened, sure, but they can still see you, right? So the problem lies with the amount of time that you have that advantage, right? I mean, the deafen lasts quite a bit of time, right? But the decay lasts for what, half a second, less than a second for that matter. And that's the thing, once you pull the trigger on Nightfall, the window of opportunity for your team to strike is so small that it more often that some, or I don't know, more, I don't want to say more often that, but often you can get put in dicey situations because you pushed and you don't really have as big of an advantage as something like they're concussed or they're flashed away. They're just deafened, and if you don't capitalize on the half a second window that they're
the DK lasts as long as they are deafened.
Really?
Yeah,
but they're slowly regenerating immediately, right?
They are
No.
They're regenerating.
No,
they get decayed first, and they slowly start regenerating.
Really? I thought they're decayed for the whole 12 seconds.
Nah, they're just decayed for 75 the moment they're hit.
Really?
Then they start regenerating, back to full health. So I feel like that's what makes it risky to play Fade, and it makes it more challenging.
I like it though. The way Riot started the DK only at the start, because if it was the full duration, then you definitely call it OP,
ridiculous.
right?
Yeah. Okay, that changes things for me too, because I thought the DK lasts as long as the 12-second mark and where they deafen, right? So that just makes it so that everyone needs to pull out their prowler. I think the Fade pulls out the prowler just to keep them nearsighted or everything, which I think is still a big, what do you call that? A big window for them to pull out a lot of skills for them to enter the site, which really makes it so that it's great on pros, but on pugs, I'm not sure. I don't know if that is really that good. Maybe they need a lot more practice with the agent, but on the pro scene, I think it would be good because they're all gonna be hitting headshots anyway.
Yeah, like you said, I totally agree. Super potent. You've got that window. I mean, a lot of these agents have a window. Once you pull out that ultimate, lockdown, rolling thunder, you've got a window. You make a decision. Same thing with Fade. So super potent, super strong. Probably as comboed into the pro scene, but not so much in the pug scene, because you're not really, in the pug scene, Fade's probably sort of strong because not a lot of people are communicating. Your map gets blinded, your character gets deafened. Not everyone's using their microphones, but on the pro scene, definitely huge potential there when it comes to Fade.
Yeah, I like to propose something. How about we rank the initiators? Which do you think is the most powerful right now, or rather in terms of how strong they are and where Fade is in that level? Because for me, let me start. For me, it goes like, of course, number 1 is Sova.
Yeah.
And then number 2
He's
is
always gonna be number 1.
Number 2.
I think everyone's. Oh.
Okay, number 1, Sova. Number 2. Okay, this is tougher than I thought.
You didn't go too far with your proposal, huh? I thought you had a full list open.
I put myself in a spot right there.
Yeah.
But how about you guys go?
Whoa! You started it. You continue.
Yeah. You started it. You should finish.
Right. Everyone give their thoughts. Editor will have a cut. I'll pause.
Okay. Let me write it down.
Tier. We can put it on tiers just to make it
tiers.
easier.
Tiers?
Yeah.
Nah, we rank them. No tiering here. No putting them together in one number. We're ranking them.
Okay, so we're ranking the initiators, right? Based on what we think are their power rankings. So let me start. Mine goes like top 1 Sova, obviously. And this might be controversial, but he's only top 2 because he nullifies the other 3 down below him, and that's KO. He has the capability of nullifying all of that under him. So KO is number 2, and then this is the toughest one for me between Breach and Sky, right? But I just put Sky right next to KO because I feel like there's more situations or more maps for that matter that Sky can be used over Breach. So it goes. So my list goes like Sova, KO, Sky, Breach, and then last one's Fade. For now.
Well, care to explain?
Wasn't I explaining?
Is that your explanation? Is that it? Is that it? Anything else to say?
Yeah, maybe later. But yeah, for now, that's my
Okay, Dash.
Okay, I'll explain while I'm doing this. So, number 1, if I'm gonna put someone on the S tier, it's Sova. It's the Sova tier. That's why it's S tier. So yeah, it's Sova we're talking about. But number 2, this is where it all gets interesting. I'll put Fade on number 2 because I like whenever I see games and also agents or whatever that actually just come out. I love discovering their untapped potential. So I'll be putting Fade here because I think she has a lot of potential. When we were talking about a while ago, except for the Nightfall, her other skills do have a lot of potential. So that's the reason why I think Fade would be here. The next would be Sky, because I really do believe that Sky does have what's great about her is she has the guiding light for the info. But what I hate about her, that's why I put Fade on top of her, is she's trading a flash for info, which is something that I don't really like, because she has a flash and an info on the guiding light, right? And she is grounded when she uses the Trailblazer. She pretty much needs to play around an unsure info. That's the reason why I'm putting her there. The next would be Breach for my number 4, because Dadum knows that I really love my Breach, and I really love seeing Breach on even Pugs, even on the pro scene, because whenever
he's number 4.
Yeah, he's number. You love him, but he's number 4. Come on, man.
Yeah. Because it's all. Because wait, I love him.
This is how much I love Breach. You're number 4.
You don't you don't see him a lot, and whenever you see him, he's gonna be performing well because nobody uses him a lot, because it takes a lot of coordination to make him effective. So I just love seeing him because it's only like 1 out of 20 games that you see a Breach or on specific maps. And the last one would be KO, because until now I don't see the effectiveness of a 0 point or a null command unless it would be on Breeze and on Breeze and on Ascent. That is where I think KO would only be effective in. But I don't know, man. whatever Dadum is saying about Fade a while ago, that's what I'm saying about KO. Because almost everything, even the silence, I think I don't buy it.
Even the null command,
No, yeah, I
gotta
don't buy
buy
it.
the null. You got
No, I don't buy the null command. Because what do you have there? He puts his teammates onto a weird position unless he dies on, what do you call this? Unless he dies close to them or on a great post plant place. But most of the time he pushes forward, right? Whenever he uses the null command. So he would die first and he's gonna be on an awkward position. But yeah, he does have the silence though. But everyone could just wait it out, right?
That's true.
Right?
Anyway,
And
Gen.
Wait. Let's talk about his flash and let's talk about his molly. Do you even use those? You don't use those.
I use those.
use
Come on.
Everyone
KO
uses
mains
those.
are going to be flaming you right now.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm okay with it because
Oh,
I'm okay with it. I'm okay getting played by the KO because
you're alone
honestly,
there. You're
Yeah,
alone there.
because
I love
the
KO.
flashpoint in the molly, you do have lineups for them, right? But I can find a lot of agents with a lot better flash. I think I like Yoru's flash even better than a KO's flash. So that puts him way down. Even a Phoenix flash is better than a KO. That's putting him down low.
What?
for me.
You got me at Yoru because I love Yoru, but once you pulled out the Phoenix,
No. I like Phoenix flashes.
Phoenix Flash is like 1 meter. That's the range of it. That's it.
No, that's just pushing it. Sorry.
that's
Sorry.
just-
I'll put it
You're
away.
not a-
wrong.
that's-
It's not the flash that Phoenix is better at. It's the ult that
Yeah.
Phoenix is better at.
Right. That won't.
That's just.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm
Anyway.
so sorry. I'm just putting KO down more.
Anyway, Gen.
Yeah, go again.
Yeah, okay. So, I've got my list. I'm going to counter everyone here just because Sova's received a balance update. Sova's not my number 1, but he is my number 2.
Okay, I like.
Okay,
it.
just
Yeah,
because that he has been balanced. Because of his balance, I will put him down a notch because an agent can actually overshadow him, and I think that's Sky. Sky is my number 1. Ever since they did give a beautiful buff to Sky, pulling out the gun out much faster as soon as she pops her flash. So her flash is her flash. You know, information is just an extra. At least you will know. You'll get yourself ready when that bird screams. But once that bird screams, you still have your gun out, and you'll still be wandering out, just prepared in case someone is hiding a corner. So Sky definitely the number 1 initiator in my opinion. Giving your information with the Seekers, giving some Trailblazer, Concuss, giving yourself a flash, giving your team a heal. She has the full kit to be the best initiator out there.
She's
Number
like
2 is Sova.
Yeah.
Yes, would you like
She's like
to...
a Swiss knife. She's like a Swiss knife.
Yeah, exactly. So Sova comes in. We know why Sova is Sova. So I'm just leaving him to number 2. Unfortunately, if his Aldrone still scanned up to 3 times, he would still be my number 1. Next up is where things get interesting. This is where I had to think about who do I put in this next spot, which in my opinion, I will be putting Fade.
There you go.
Fade
Okay.
still giving that information. The best part of being an initiator is giving your team information. You've got the mini neural theft, which is just a basic skill and spots everyone around the site. You've got the prowler for a secondary spot, which can deafen, clearing up, making sure the enemy doesn't get your information while you're getting theirs. So Fade definitely will be my number 3. Coming into number 4, of course, will be Breach. I think he's gonna stick around number 4 for a long time. At least until new initiators come in, that's probably worse than him. I'm putting Breach there because, like I said, information is the key. Breach.
He's gonna be number 5 soon. If another initiator comes in.
Breach is I love Breach. You know, I love his damage. I love his flashes, but it requires so much coordination. You cannot solo play. Unlike Sky. Sky can solo play the heck out of that agent, but Breach, you have to depend on your team. And then, of course, KO is down to number 5. I still love KO, but he's the most potent out of all the agents. If you wanted to pick up an Initiator, you'd want to have someone more active. KO is extremely potent. He is powerful in only specific situations. When a Jet pulls out the Blade Storm, when the Chamber pulls out the Tour de Force, that's where you'd love to have the KO. Because the knife, if only the knife was invulnerable, then things would be a much more different of where I would rank KO. But his flashes and fragment, also potent. Like Dash said, he doesn't really like his flash because there are other flashes much better. But so it's like an ordinary flashbang, still a potent flash, and the fragment especially extremely potent because you can literally run out of it after one shot. So that's my list for the Initiators. Anyway, any extras?
That's it for our podcast tonight. Thanks for joining us. This has been Nightfall. Kidding, of course.
Yeah, we're concluding. We're in the conclusion. Any extras that you guys want to say?
Yeah, I mean, the list that we put up, my list for in particular, I put Fade at the bottom because that's just the state of Fade right now. If there was a tier list of all the champions or agents, and they're listed by their categories, and in this case Initiator, I think Fade would be at the bottom because people are still figuring out just how to play Fade, and perhaps if we had something like
you're not getting out of yourself from here, Dadum. You're not defending yourself.
Yeah, you're not.
That list is scuffed. Number 2 KO, come on.
Right, exactly. He has a KO bias or something. That's why.
And you have a Fade bias.
I mean, I actually just put, we're on the second, not the
I have a
first,
Sky bias. Hey.
But
anyway, Fade's gonna get better over time. We all know.
Anyway,
that's the only thing we're in agreement of. How about?
Yeah, my name's Gen. I'm here with my co-casters, Dash and Dadum, and like, subscribe, comment, share it with your friends. What do you guys think about Fade? Leave it in the comments below. We are actually interested in what you guys think. I will be reading everything too. So see you guys in the next one. If you guys have suggestions, but we'll be pulling out our own ideas anyway. So bye bye.
Fade sucks. Bye.